Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another session of the Survival of the Fittest. It's Friday morning in Sweden, where I am, at least. My name is Johan Wester, and I'm the moderator of this fantastic event. I hope you, if you're here for the first time, I hope you will enjoy the ride. It will be informative, but also a bit entertaining, I hope. Today we talk about. We often talk about digital cash, but we have this angle with CBDC, Digital Cash CBDC accelerator. And with me, I'm so glad that we have the CEO of Crunchfish Group, Joachim Samuelsson. Good morning.
Good morning, Johan. Nice to be here again.
Again, we've had Easter in most of the world, but so we didn't broadcast last week, but now we're back. And is it a good morning for you, Joachim?
Absolutely. I think with spring, with Easter, I think spring arrived in Sweden. So it's now, or some people even say summer, because outside our office here, people are actually swimming in the Malmö harbor, even if it's just sort of 7 degrees in the water. But they do.
Well, desperate people. Need for summer and warmth. Okay, so you've been doing this for quite a while now, Joachim. These mornings, just give me a perspective. What are your takeaways? These webinars, what have they given to you, and why do we continue doing this? Tell us your feelings.
Well, I think the webinars are, for Crunchfish, they're extremely important in order to get the message out, what we are all about. There is a lot of details on a lot of levels, a lot of facets to explain Crunchfish. And I think this webinar series has turned out to be a quite good way of doing it, actually. Yeah. And I think I'm particularly happy having a webinar like today, when we can have external presenters to the webinar. We've done that a few times before, and it's always been, I think, extra interesting, because we're bringing something that people haven't met before, and that's I think this one is an excellent example of that.
Yeah. In other words, we need help. Yeah,
yes, we do.
Okay, so we have different perspectives, different subjects, and today we will talk about CBDC. And if people who never heard about CBDC, just give me the short. What is CBDC in your perspective, Joachim?
CBDC is central bank digital currency. This is something that most central banks around the world are contemplating whether they should introduce it or not, as something which is augmenting the payment systems in their countries. That's what it's all about. And we will try to give a perspective of how we could help in all that effort. You know, Crunchfish's new tagline for Digital Cash is just that, augmenting payments. So I think the whole thing about Digital Cash, augmenting payments, is very similar to, I think, what CBDC is all about. It's about to stabilize, to make the payments ecosystem much better in the country. And that's what we're working on. And I think that's the focus for most central banks as well, when they're contemplating bringing on central bank digital currency.
And we will, I will soon introduce the two nice gentlemen from T-Hub joining in, but just give me your perspective, Joachim. Why do we have this angle? We talked about this Friday. Then the CEO of T-Hub and Sanjay, they will join in. Why do you think this perspective is especially important that we are having today?
Well, we are starting something of a quite a grand scale with T-Hub, and I think this is a great way of explaining a little bit why we're doing it and what is it all about. I could think of no better people than the CEO of T-Hub here, providing a background on what T-Hub is as an ecosystem innovator, and also from Sanjay here, who is a senior banker and an advisor to T-Hub, and really what this program could be all about. Because I think we're launching something sort of great for India, but the ambition is grander. It's for the world, really.
Great. So that's what's a good introduction of the two gentlemen that I have also on my screen. I hope you all have four of us, because I will now be glad to introduce all the way from India, the CEO of T-Hub. I just learned to know, I say MSR. Is that the way?
Yes,
MSR.
John.
Yes,
Yes.
good morning.
Good morning.
But if I will take the long version of MSR, what is that?
It's very long. It
Yeah.
is Manikali Srinivas Rao, which is a mouthful.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
simple.
Let's stick to MSR.
No, Johan,
Yeah.
at the end of the webinar, we would like you to pronounce it once actually for all of us.
Yeah,
Thank
that will-
you. You want to take that challenge
Yes.
immediately.
Yeah.
Please take this challenge, right?
We will need another hour. But if you MSR, if you just want to call me Jay, that's okay also. So you're most welcome, MSR, and you will soon start the presentation. But then, of course, we have Sanjay. Good morning, Sanjay. Taku.
Good morning, very good morning.
And of course, we need to start. What kind of strange background do you have?
It's not strange if you ask me. I am just complimenting your background, you know.
Yes,
because I have been looking at Darwin for quite some time every Friday, and I took inspiration from this background and thought of what could be a better background to complement or supplement this background, since we are working together with Crunchfish. So since Mr. Darwin was in the background, so I thought, let me put the voyage of Beagle in the background.
Oh,
so T-Hub, we treat as a ship Beagle, and we are on our journey to the famous island, and we will hopefully we'll land at that island to discover something meaningful, for sure.
Oh, well, we're so glad that you're giving this so much effort and time. Thank you so much. With the ship Beagle in the background. And MSR, have you went to Galapagos, just for giving us the right feeling? Yeah, great. So you're most welcome, both of you, and I will have some questions for you about your collaboration and what you're doing in T-Hub. But I realize it's better to start with a presentation, so we go from that. And everyone who's watching this, you know that you can contribute by asking questions. You use the chat forum right there, and I will be glad to pass the questions on, because we need to, if you have any perspectives, just bring them into the show. Okay, and just give me, before we start, where in India are you at the moment?
So, Johan, I'm in Hyderabad.
Hyderabad.
I just heard Joachim tell us it was 7 degrees.
Yeah.
So which by my quick math is about 44 degrees Fahrenheit. Here it is currently 40 degrees centigrade. Okay, so just
Okay.
minor difference of about 60 degrees.
Okay, so
just to on the lighter side, Johan, the temperature that you might be hearing about India, probably Swedish chickens might be hatching eggs at this temperature, I guess.
Okay, well, great. So we have different situation. We're glad with our 7 degrees, but I realize that you have a bit more summer where you are. Let's go to T-Hub, because it's quite a fascinating story. And I realize that MSR, you will start with the first slide, and you will pass the mic forward to Sanjay. So let's start with you, MSR. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so good morning, everyone. My pleasure and privilege to be here. Been working very closely with Crunchfish to usher in the next wave of revolution in digital payments, right? And just so you know, I think it's fair to say that India in many ways has led the way as far as digital payments is concerned. One of the largest platforms in the world is a platform called UPI, Universal Payment Interface. And today, close to 1 billion plus transactions happen on this platform on a daily basis, right? So from that context, when we got working together along with Sanjay and Joachim on this initiative of digital currency, we said, this is an unprecedented opportunity for us at T-Hub to kind of partner together with the best in the business and build this. So a little bit of background on T-Hub. T-Hub, we are a 7-year-old institution. We are a public-private partnership partly supported by the government of Telangana. Telangana happens to be the 29th state in the Union of India. It's the youngest state. And to that extent, I think you will see that a lot of work we do in Telangana resembles what you do in a startup. We are nimble, we are quick, we are agile, and we are focused on getting things done, right? And so we are a public-private partnership. What we basically focus is on two areas. One is on entrepreneurship, and second is around innovation. So over the last 7 years, we have worked with over 1,800 startups, both within India and internationally, to support them with access to markets, support them with access to capital, support them with access to manpower, to mentors, and essentially help them scale. So these 1,800 startups are drawn across 57 different sectors. Obviously, FinTech is a major area of focus for us. We have close to 60 plus startups whom we work with across the entire chain of FinTech. And it's a pleasure and privilege to be here. And we look forward to working with Crunchfish and other ecosystem partners in, first of all, establishing thought leadership around digital currency, and also working with policymakers, regulators to ensuring that India is at the forefront of the digital currency movement, and also then taking this worldwide. So thank you, and pleasure to be here, and look forward to listening to Sanjay, Joachim, and of course the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Thanks, NSR. Thanks, Joachim. So it's a pleasure to be here on the webinar, and I'll start with a few basics. In fact, evolution of money has been one of the most fascinating subjects, and it has evolved from commodities to metal to paper over the last couple of centuries. And each of these transitions have a groundbreaking impact. Real impact of digitization, the world had seen sometime during mid-50s with the advent of, you can say, Bank AmeriCard, which was launched between Bank of America and Visa and MasterCard. And over the last 5 decades till the end of last century, you saw the evolution of digital payments primarily driven by these two players beyond banking system, and they became ubiquitous around the world for facilitating local and global payments. But last two decades, we have seen emergence of new kind of players. It started with someone like PayPal and others, like your Alipay, TenPay, okay, which became so formidable. And this, if you ask me, then some of these emerging markets, if you look at the trend, the way the trend has emerged, some of the emerging markets like your Kenya or China or India, they have leapfrogged on this digital payment wave, and they have straight away transitioned to mobile payments with the adoption rate which is as high as 75 to 80% across the population. But over last, so if you look at the basic functionalities and properties of money, which has continued to remain same over last century, but each of these functionalities and properties have started evolving very rapidly over a period of last, you can say, especially 2 decades, especially on the payment side, I'd say. So what we are looking at over last few years, we have seen emergence of digital virtual cash, which is wherein we have seen emergence of very formidable private players, and some of the private players are becoming overwhelmingly important, and they are creating almost like a parallel force in front of the public money, which is issued by central banks. This latest trend of innovation is actually unstoppable. Nobody can stop it, but it is equally important for central banks to ring-fence monetary sovereignty. Okay, and over the last 2 years, most of the central banks around the world have been considering rolling out some form of digital cash beyond the regular payment products and solutions which is available. And CBDC has gained momentum primarily over last 2 years. And as we stand today, we see close to around 80 to 85 countries around the world. They are seriously looking at considering CBDC rollout in some form or other. 4 countries have already done their pilot, to name a few, like Bahamas, Sweden, China, and Nigeria. But all these are at pilot stage. So looking at this year budget, if you look at this year's budget announcement in India, India has also decided to roll out CBDC to augment the payment capability and ring-fence its existing payment system. And it has been decided that CBDC rollout will happen sometime in next 12 to 18 months. As soon as this announcement happened, we at T-Hub put our heads together and decided to roll out a program around augmenting payment system. And as part of the program, the first program involves creating robust use cases around CBDC. And that is when we came across and contacted Crunchfish, and we are looking forward to create this program. And so can we go to the next slide actually? Yeah. So what we are looking at the program as a part of the program, which will start soon, probably in the next couple of weeks time, we are looking at partnering with a few partners. These partners will be your payment technology and business accelerator partners, then your central bank, which is RBI. Then the third is umbrella entities, NPCI or from India. Then the fourth partners will be banks, payment service providers, or fintech companies. And the fifth and last one will be definitely towards international market access through partners and through some think tanks as well. So there are 3 themes around this CBDC program, which is spanning across instrument, distribution, and infrastructure. Okay, so, and each of these themes have various components. Like if you look at instrument, then it has online and offline capability, mobile and non-mobile devices capability for payment augmentation. Then it has to be inclusive, privacy, security, or maybe other new functionalities as well. On distribution theme, obviously, the critical piece will be onboarding and KYC. Then provisioning. What I mean by provisioning, that most central banks around the world are still contemplating whether this money should be part of the base money or should it be part of beyond base money. Okay, so a lot of discussions are still happening on that round, but probably this is an evolving system, and we will be in a position to establish the right framework only over a period of time. Then the next is your data protection. So that is also very critical component that has to be, that sanctity of the data protection needs to be maintained. And then your extensive users and interoperability with the existing networks. If you look at a market like India, where we already have 16 types of payments, CBDC will turn out to be 17th type of payment. So the one discussion agenda which is around, people are discussing that how do we make sure that this 17th product gets adopted and accelerated for various purposes beyond financial inclusion. It can have implications around, say, for example, monetary policy transmissions, but that is, jury is still out about the right formula, right way of ensuring that CBDC framework gets adopted and accelerated at a scale in a country like India. Okay, and the third theme is, which is infrastructure, obviously, which is here, obviously, like, which includes your system integrity, preventing double spending, okay, performance at a scale, and settlement and reconciliation. Because the beauty of CBDC, as we see here, is that the settlement and reconciliation is instantaneously. It is not dependent on your reconciliation and you can say settlement like a traditional form of money. So that is one very strong, you can say, strength around this framework. Then the next infrastructure related requirement will become around operational resilience, then standardization, and the last one will be quantum computing, which will come probably in some time in the future actually. So these are the three themes essentially. So given this background, we at T-Hub, along with the partner like Crunchfish, we have decided to run a program which will span over a year or more, certainly. At this point of time, as we stand today, we wish to start roundtables with the opinion makers and stakeholders from public and private side to evangelize the concept of CBDC and make the market aware about what it is all about, and build a consensus and alliance around the right framework and managing the expectation of regulators, stakeholders around public and private side. So that is the first stage that we are starting, and we are partnering with Crunchfish and a few other partners from public and private within India and outside India as well. So many MOUs have been signed and many are in the process of signing off, but we intend to start this roundtables sometime in the month of May, and we will keep you posted around that, and we'll be definitely invite all of you to join in for that roundtables for sure. These roundtables will be followed by master classes, and Crunchfish has agreed to even open the sandbox for the innovators and guys from industry, academia and all to build their use cases and test their use cases on Crunchfish sandbox. And Crunchfish, as well as few other partners, they have agreed to conduct some master classes as well, because it is, since the concept itself is very new, so it is important to evangelize the concept of CBDC within industry and academia from India and outside India as well. And post completion of masterclass and these sandboxes, we will move to launch an Ideathon, okay, wherein we will be inviting participation from industry, academia, and research from India and around the world. And we hope that we should be in a position to invite at least a couple of hundred participants from India and outside India, which will move into a hackathon mode. And eventually the plan is to shortlist and mentor and fund around 5 to 8 relevant use cases in consultation with all the key stakeholders within public, private, and regulator side, and plan about go-to-market strategy. So this is something which is the plan as of now, okay? And we are very keen and very eager to invite larger number of participants from around the world, from within India and outside India as well, to participate in this program. And we will keep you posted about the timelines, dates, and things which will come very soon. Probably next couple of weeks' time, we will start announcing the dates of the programs as per the schedule which we have outlined here. So if you look at digital rupee penetration in India, then last couple of years has been quite significant in terms of digital rupee and digital payment augmentation within Indian ecosystem. And if you look at the actual wave of growth of digital payments started back in 2015, when there was a hackathon which was run for launching UPI. And finally, by 2016, UPI was launched, and you know, rest is history actually for India. Okay. So apart from that is one part, but apart from that, if you look at RBI has in 2021, they have created one FinTech department within central bank to look into CBDC framework and its execution plan as well. Okay, then in 2022, there was a framework for a small value offline transaction was also released. Okay, because for a country like India, online as well as offline is equally important because of the network access across the, you can say, remote areas of the country. A large part of the population, they still don't have online connectivity and you can say smartphone access. Hence, a small value offline transaction will play a very critical role for India, and probably some of our solutions should be easily exportable outside India as well. Okay. Q1 of 2022, in fact, RBI has run some hackathon as well around CBDC, and of course, Crunchfish has been a part of that hackathon as well. Year back, if you remember that India had experimented with the e-rupee as well, which was essentially nothing but a programmable e-rupee, which was given to the underprivileged under, you can say, some kind of a scheme from the government of India. And it turned out to be pretty successful. Okay, so money was transferred to the eligible recipients who are essentially from underprivileged class, and with the specified uses of that money, especially for the purpose of hospitals and healthcare. Okay, and it turned out to be a pretty successful use case, if you ask me. And that one use case has certainly given us a huge leg up and conviction on augmenting and creating a new framework, something which is like, you can say, CBDC, which is again one step ahead of this programmable money. And CBDC use cases can be extrapolated across a very large number of use cases can be built around that, spanning across, you can say, retail, wholesale, domestic, cross-border, business, commercial. Okay, so now we can foresee that opportunity which is coming in with some of these kind of new enablers, which India is planning to roll out with CBDC for retail as the first rollout plan, which will happen in next 12 to 18 months. Okay. Then a lot of work had happened actually. Even iSpirit One, which is another non-profit organization like we are at T-Hub, they had also created some kind of protocol on private-public ledger, and that is also being used for building multiple kind of use cases across financial services, including payment kind of solutions actually. Okay, so augmenting. So we are working. So what we are looking at that the program that we are going to undertake here, we are very confident that there is a great opportunity to create a next UPI kind of moment using this CBDC as the first plan under the program coverage. Okay, so I hope that we, along with Crunchfish and few other partners, should be in a position to invite larger number of participation from, you can say, tech entrepreneurs, startup guys, industry, academia. Okay, and we should hopefully be in a position to create some at least 5, 8, 10 good quality use cases, which is relevant and acceptable to the monetary authorities. And then we will plan out GTM strategy along with the regulators, authorities, or even, you can say, public-private partnership. So this is what I wanted to say all about our program. And definitely, I would look forward for all of you to join in this program. And thanks again, Joachim and team, Johan, for your courtesy to invite us on this webinar. And we will look forward to work with you closely to make it a big success actually in future.
Well, thank you so much, both of you. Very inspiring, and this is an invitation for the future, I realize, for collaboration and to make things happen, well, from now and forward. I'm just curious about this focus on open innovation. You talk about you synergize startups, corporations, governments, academia, etc., etc. How long have you had the focus on open innovation as the driver, Sanjay, or MSR?
So maybe I can go first and then Sanjay can chip in. So
yeah,
we've been working with corporate bodies now for the last 5 or 6 years. Essentially, so as you know, innovation is the need of the hour, right? And essentially it's about, when you talk about innovation, it is ideas into commercialization, etc. So which is where we bring the startup ecosystem to engage with corporate. So we've currently working with about close to 30 plus corporations, including people like Facebook, with Citibank, with Suzuki, with Hyundai, with Renault, with Wells Fargo across the spectrum on areas starting with mobility, then how do you build communities, etc. So essentially, how do you create an environment where large corporations can work with early stage, nimble, agile, founders and entrepreneurs. And for the startups, it is a validation of their ideas. It also could potentially lead to funding opportunities, and then build out something which adds real value overall to the ecosystem and the community at large. This is something which I think it's fair to say, at the risk of sounding a little immodest, we've done a reasonable job of.
Sanjay, your words about the advantages of open innovation as a tool.
True. No, so certainly. So my association with the T-Hub is probably I joined under advice of MSR around 5 months back, since he joined here as a CEO. And obviously, if you ask me, the kind of open innovation kind of enablers which are getting created at T-Hub is certainly, despite being despite being a non-profit organization, the kind of work which is happening at T-Hub and the level of evangelization for facilitating the ecosystem enabler across all industry verticals. And it is not fintech, agri-tech, medtech, health tech, and various other industries. The kind of, you can say, support which is coming from large corporates from India and around the world. Large number of these, you can say, global corporates and Indian corporates are running their innovation program under T-Hub. So you can understand the kind of conviction they have that they are running these kind of programs of innovation, wherein they are expecting T-Hub to facilitate innovation, meeting the agenda of their, whether it is ESG or whether it is other fintech innovation on the payment side, or something related to health tech or medtech or agri-tech. So at any point of time, there are dozens of programs which is running in, and T-Hub has been very successfully been able to, you can say, create and build very successful use cases over the last 5-6 years, all the years, in fact, for the last 7 years of its existence.
We will soon get into more of the details of your collaboration. I'm just curious about MSR. You are, a serial entrepreneur since, 3 decades. If you compare the situation as being a CEO, being in innovation industry today with the 30 years ago, 3 decades ago, what are the big differences, or are there any similarities, do you say?
Oh, so there's a huge level of differences. So we didn't have the internet when we started, right? So that's for one. So we are now live in a much more connected world. Literally, in some ways, you could say, geography is now history. So just imagine we are doing this across, 2 time zones. For example, we wouldn't have been able to do this 30 years ago, right? So essentially, the power of ideas, the ability to do good, one. And second is this whole thing about collaboration, right? Being able to work across time zones, locations, countries, and so on. That's huge, right? So today, entrepreneurship, you have access, the world is your market. You have access to funding thanks to liquidity, easy liquidity now. You have access to markets everywhere. You have access to talent everywhere. So I think it's easy to say now that the opportunity for innovation is huge. We still have so many pressing challenges, but the ecosystem and how the ecosystem is advanced makes me a strong optimist that what we are building today, right, can make a difference to lives, to people, to countries, and so on.
Yeah, and the world, as you describe it, with the openness and the possibilities, that's, I believe, is the key reason that open innovation is the right thing to do. That's the way to get on board different perspectives from different parts of the world. Otherwise, you will be stuck in the old way of thinking. Is that the right way to understand it?
Yes. So I almost think about it as the frog in the well syndrome. if you think about it from that way. Now you have the whole universe in front of you. So ideas, transcend borders and geographies. And so today you could have a startup for example, many of our companies here work, for example, in cybersecurity with companies from Israel, for example.
Yeah. So yeah. So let's focus on your collaboration. How did it start, Joachim? From your perspective, this discussion about cooperation with T-Hub, how did that start, and what did what kind of opportunities did you see then?
It started with Sanjay. Sanjay approached us about. He was telling me that he was involved with T-Hub as an advisor, and I think he was actually he saw the webinar we did in end of sort of early February, I think, which was on CBDC, when we had basically Digital Cash for CBDC.
Was it when we started doing this?
It was the dancing. It was the dancing.
It was a dancing. It was a dancing. Yes.
Yes.
We got it.
No, I think so Sanjay approached me and said that he thought that Digital Cash had a lot of potential for augmenting payments, and we had a lot of mind share about what the challenges were and how could we best get this technology out in the market, and certainly for us then we've always been a company which likes transparency and openness, and I think we had mindshare very, very quickly on that, what we actually could achieve together to help India, but also certainly the world into augmenting payments, basically making payments better really, and that's what we do, and that's what CBDC is all about. And then we started to craft this sort of program that we're now starting to tell the world about.
Yeah, and I think this is quite fascinating, since I've been on board through these webinars, and I realize we have some people watching live when it's broadcast, but then people come across the webinars and they look at it, and slowly we're getting the team bigger, and it's fantastic to hear that you watched this morning show and realized this could be a thing for us, and you took contact. I realized this is the new world, and this is the way to start things. So Sanjay, tell me about this February morning, and you're looking at this. What were your thoughts when you realized I will actually take contact? Tell us about that.
So I just was searching something on CBDC in general and about overall digital cash and future of cash. I had been doing some research on this piece for last 6-8 months actually, because I'm very fascinated with the world of money and finance, because I come from a core finance background. So payment in last 6 months have become a very dominant passion actually for me, if you ask me, among other things in the financial world side. So I came across Crunchfish and I did some research about Crunchfish, and then I saw suddenly that there is some webinar which is happening, and I registered and attended it. And I found that probably you guys are doing some good work. So let me try to see and contact and see if we can work together on the program that we had thought about. And that is when I approached Joachim, and we had I thought I had taken some 10 minutes time from him, and probably we talked for 1.5 hours, I guess. Joachim, if you remember our first call.
Yeah. It was a great call.
It continued for almost like 90 minutes actually. So it was a long call. And then immediately I had a chat with the MSR. Then all of us are connected. And since then, we have been interacting every week, on every Tuesday actually, once we decided to go ahead with this program of CBDC. And hopefully this is going to take off very soon now.
Well, I think this is a very inspiring story to hear, because this was so recently, and you just you're in the making of something new here. So what were the things you got interested in the Crunchfish way of doing, and what did you tell MSR, because you had to bring people on board? Well, you've been watching, sitting in front of your computer, and now you will tell the story about this Swedish company. So what got you interested?
No, I was especially quite inspired by getting to know about the fact that you guys are pretty strong domain expertise on the digital payment infrastructure, and you guys are having a lot of patents as well. So that fact itself corroborates and strengthened my belief that that Crunchfish must be doing something good. Okay, then I did a lot of research about Crunchfish and many other players around the world, and I found that looks to be a good partner. I guess we can collaborate with them.
Well, great.
And after interacting with Joachim, obviously I could could feel the authenticity in his work and the kind of support that he decided to extend to us for this program. And
I can feel
quite heartening.
I can fill in there. He's very authentic, always, 100%. So
I'll give you, Johan. So in fact, he's so authentic. Just 2 days back, he has given me a strong bashing on not meeting the timeline for something. So you must. So we got a big wrapping actually from him. So why things are not moving, in fact, and we got a wrapping for at least you can say 20 minutes non-stop.
Yeah. And if you have any problems with him,
we have to fall in line now. So
if you have any problems with him, just contact me.
I have one level of escalation now, so I'll try to reach you and hope you are able to assuage our
Great.
What is happening in this webinar now?
so just let's go to MSR. So Sanjay, he told you about this possibility, and what did you see then about CBDC, Crunchfish? Because you're CEO, you have plenty of companies and startups and collaborations. What got you interested, MSR?
So first, so Sanjay is someone whom I have a lot of regard for and a lot of respect for, right? Given his background and the depth of work he's done in the financial market space. So that's one. So when he told me about Crunchfish, so obviously I went and looked up the website. Then we had a call with Joachim. He sent us a couple of podcasts which he had done. So we went through those. So basically, two things, right? From a partnership standpoint, as you rightly said, I think the first thing is the partner must be somebody who's A, deeply committed to the space, A, B is authentic, C brings depth to this thing, and D is people who are easy to work with, right? And I still remember our first call with Joachim, and we were both joking about our age, right? So both of us
always age,
yeah, always age, right? So both of us discovered we are not part of the millennial generation, right? We are probably part of the baby boomers generation or something like that. So we had a good laugh. And I think, as you know, right, the first thing when you want to work with somebody else is how do you build comfort and trust. And despite not meeting him in person, we just kind of hit it off. And the idea, the commitment and the passion. And he also told us about what he's been doing here. So we think digital currency is an idea whose time has come, right? And particularly much closer to where you are compared to where we are. Certain geopolitical, incidents going on, I think will further reinforce for the whole world the need for a digital currency, not to entirely replace cash, but to become a increasingly meaningful adjunct and supplement to cash, right? So that's where we came from.
Yeah, well, I think this is very fascinating, actually. And now you're heading into this program, Augmenting Payments Accelerator program, and you have round tables. And why is this the way to do it? Why have you agreed on doing it like this? Because I realize this is open innovation. You have to start with talking and bringing people. But why this setup, Sanjay?
So roundtable thought came in just you can say 6 weeks back, when we had been contemplating about the framework of the entire program and realizing the fact that the concept itself is so new. Majority of the people across industry as well as academia are unaware about the concept of various forms of virtual digital cash, including CBDC. Okay. In addition to that, there are too many uncertainties about the product design, functionality, infrastructure, whether it is part of existing money supply, beyond money supply. So there were too many uncertainties are still there in the entire ecosystem. Hence, we thought of building an alliance with the public-private key stakeholders over a roundtable to build a consensus and arrive at a right framework to design and roll out the program. So that was the whole idea, that we wanted to have a representation from government side, central bank side, and many, you can say, opinion maker banker side, and try to build a consensus before we roll out the masterclass and further thing. Otherwise, it is like shooting in the dark. We will do something unilaterally. And if it is not acceptable to the entire ecosystem, then the effort will be futile. So that was the whole idea.
So is this a model that you use in other collaborations as well, or this is totally new?
No, not necessarily, because this is an uncharted territory anyways for the country as well, for the world actually, you can say, for that matter. This is still an uncharted territory, where a lot of work is yet to be done. A lot of uncertainties are there, that in what form, shape and size this form of money will come. One of them being CBDC, which is a very dominant, because the monetary authorities are very serious about rolling out CBDC. But because of uncertainties, we decided to have this roundtable before starting the actual program. That was the whole idea, to build an alliance and consensus around the framework, essentially.
Joachim, I'm curious your perspective on this and this program with the different steps. Sometimes you get an idea and you think that, oh, we could do this on ourselves. Well, this is we could do it. But then you have a collaboration. Nah, we'll do this with T-Hub. What are the advantages collaborating with just especially T-Hub in this, and why have you chosen? Why do you agreed on this format?
Well, there's a lot of levels to your questions, but I think if we start with T-Hub, I think T-Hub have an excellent reputation in India and have already many collaborations, as they are a public private sector organization. They have partnerships in India particularly, and as India is sort of leading the way when it comes to digital payments as of now, I think they would be an ideal partner for us, because we don't have the depth of these relations that T-Hub have developed over the years, and that brings in a lot of strength in order to roll out such a program. Why you started talking about roundtables and why we would have that sort of, and it was an excellent idea that came from T-Hub actually, that instead of just jumping into masterclasses and tell the world one-sided, really, this is how you could do it, as you said, it's easy to do that. In order to build engagement, in order to get people involved, get people to feel that let's have a dialogue about it and bring in more views on how this could be set up. Let's start with that in a very serious way of an understanding the role of the state for digital payments, and that's what we want to do. So I thought it was an excellent idea of, instead of rushing into just telling the world, it's better to start listening, and I think these roundtables is all about that. So and that will give us some time to build even more strength in the program, where more partners, both on the governmental side as well as private sector side, could come along. So I think the idea was excellent coming from T-Hub.
Yeah, this might be the fishing part of Crunchfish. We're fishing for.
Yeah, we are very much the crunch. Just go for it. But we need people who remind us that we are fishermen as well. So you're right.
Yeah. So we're and it starts in May. And if I'm watching this show and I'm feeling, oh, this might be something for me. Who are you aiming for, and how? Well, because it's often, well, you're not really, well, it's not people like you, Sanjay, who watch a webinar says, I want to get in contact with the people here. So it's many people just watch and then nothing really happens. So how do you bring the people along? Who are you really inviting? Who would be the ideal group to start with? Because now you're fishing, now you're searching for different partners. Just tell us about the different partners who can jump on board here, Sanjay.
True. So our desired, you can say, stakeholders for these roundtables will be leading authorities from, you can say, financial services in India, both private as well as public. Apart from that, we will get leading research institutions guys from India as well. And needless to mention, key stakeholders from monetary as well as fiscal authorities. And a key government think tank, which is advising government on various matters today. So we are already in touch with them as well. So essentially these 5, 6, so you can say essentially it will be a combination of industry, academia, research, and government.
Yeah, and MSR, if you look outside India, who do you want to invite from the rest of the world to this?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, so ideally, I think we should get, other so I guess 2 or 3 different types of stakeholders. We'd love to have other ecosystem partners who can add value to what we're trying to build. That's one. So essentially,
just give me some examples, please. What could that be?
So anybody who's doing anything to do with payments?
I can give one or two examples. Okay, so Joachim and me discussed about involving beyond India some partners like BIS Innovation Hub. Okay, apart from that, I am very curious to invite Ms. Neha Narula from Digital Currency Initiative at MIT Media Lab. Okay, and few more similar people from outside India.
Yeah.
Okay, but BIS for sure, and in all probability, even Digital Currency Initiative representation, that would be my desire actually to have them on panel actually at some point of time.
Yeah, I interrupted you, MSI. Did you have any other thoughts you want to contribute with?
Sorry, I was going to say BIS, and Sanjay stole my thunder. So yeah.
So, I'm sorry for that.
BIS, Johan, this is the Bank of International Settlement, which is the bank of the central banks, and they are helping the central banks for various things. But one thing is innovation, and they have various innovation hubs spread around the world, and they are instrumental for some of the thinking and the future innovation of central banks. So they will be a key player on an international level.
So, Joachim, from your perspective, well, we're sitting in Sweden, and there's plenty of countries around the world who are working, interested in this area. If you're not in India, who is this for? Would you say, Joachim?
I think what we're doing here for India, being such a leading country here, that will be applicable in many other countries as well. Augmenting payments is needed everywhere, not just for CBDC, also for commercial sort of payment systems. And so I think it is an interest for the world of how do we make sort of the next generation of payments, how do we make it better, and the program essentially is about that. CBDC is a very good example of that, which is sort of now happening. On the partner front, I also want to bring in that we have partners that like to work with Crunchfish, that are international big players, global players in the sort of payments market, and they would also, I think, be quite interested to join the program as well, collaborate, innovate with us really. And then at the next step, we want to bring in the sort of the fintech community who could work on the platform to create sort of new innovation. Initially, we need to create the partners that bring a foundation for this sort of program, and that's what we are focusing on in the first stage.
So what will be the main takeaways for Crunchfish in this, you would say?
Well, for us as an early, also we are also in a way a fintech here, but I think we have developed over the years here a strong presence in the area of augmenting payments with particularly our offline approach is interesting, because I think the world is excelling at doing online payments, but it's online payments only, and as cash is very much a means that is offline in nature. You don't need any connectivity in order to pay. If you're going to make that digital, you really need offline. Cash is private. You have to think about privacy. cash is inclusive, that you don't have to onboard to just receive some cash. Digital payments needs to be that as well. So there's a lot of aspects of cash as a means of payments, which needs to be replicated when you go digital. And I think we, as Crunchfish, we've come a really long way in how to augment existing payments infrastructure with these kind of cash-like features for the world. And I'm excited to collaborate with the world in what we've done. And I think this is an excellent opportunity for us to do that. I'm really very happy about this collaboration with T-Hub, which I couldn't think of a better start really for getting this sort of spread to other fintechs and using our technology for coming up with new ideas that we haven't even thought of yet. I think that's excellent. So
we have 5 minutes to go, and then it's breakfast here and a swim in the lake, 7 degrees. And but I'm thinking, since we are talking about CBDC here and we are talking about the future, I'm just curious what, and through this open innovation perspective, bring along the world new inventions, new way of thinking, new way of doing. What are your thoughts, your vision? Just, well, let's give it 5 or 10 years from now. I'm curious, what do you see? What are you? Do you have any ideas of what? How could it be in the future? Let's start with MSR.
I'm going to ask Joachim, because it was his vision first to bring, to talk to about this, and then I'll supplement. So let's start.
Okay.
Let's start with the guru first.
Okay. The guru, and yes. I realize we will get another hour here, so I will be eager to. So, can you keep it short, Joachim? Yes, I'll try. No, but I think that there is. I think Sanjay put it really well that the whole payment space has developed really interestingly over the years, and it is ripe right now for another level of huge innovation. UPI, when that came to India in 2016, has completely transformed India in terms of its digitization, but it's still online. It's still an online payment system. They're bringing out something called now UPI Lite. It's semi-offline, but one of the parties needs to be online. I think really to take the next step, you need to go offline all the way, just like cash is. So there is a need to develop a form of digital payments which is very much cash-like, and I think that is the next realm that needs to be captured. And I think we could be very instrumental in that. I think the whole world is working in this direction. The central bank, they are issuing cash today. They're thinking about going digital, and I think they need to think about preserving all these features that cash have, but in a digital way. And I think let's help the world in getting there, because I think this brings huge improvements to a lot of people in the world if we can facilitate that. Because right now, financial inclusion is not for everybody. It is if you have a smartphone, it is if you have internet connectivity, but that's not the case for many people in the world. So I think this is, we need it in Sweden because cash is going away. We have smartphones and we have internet connectivity, but when the system goes down, the shit hits the fan here in Sweden. It's not a good situation. So we need something like this as well. But certainly in many other countries where financial inclusion really needs to happen in order to get much more people involved in the digital world. And I think we could, with this program and with other efforts happening, this is the next 5 to 10 years that absolutely needs to happen. Okay, great. Thank you. And the MSR, as the CEO for T-Hub here, and your vision, when you're listening to Joachim, your thoughts about what are the opportunities here?
Sure. So I think the primary focus, I think, is around financial inclusion, right? So I think the point he made about how do you make this something which, which not the, let's say, not like people like us who are sitting in front of a nice cozy room. You are sitting in a room with a heater on, and we are sitting in a room with an air conditioner on. But I'm
sitting in a room with Darwin behind me. That's real.
Yeah. So for the not so privileged, how do you make digital cash the way to go, and how do you ensure similar to what's happened with UPI? We'd like to be part of a revolution where digital cash gets embraced. And if you've played a small part in getting that movement going, we'll feel very privileged and humbled.
Yeah, thank you. And Sanjay, as a banker, how would you, and you bring the CBD perspective, what can you see in the future?
So a few thoughts which is very dominant nowadays, that if you look at emergence of private money over last 3 years in particular, and private money emergence is becoming extremely formidable. Hence, it is very important that monetary authorities ring-fence their monetary sovereignty through creating an alternate mechanism of cash. And there can't be a better mode than CBDC, in my view, at this point of time. Okay, the benefit here is, one is definitely the kind of financial inclusion objective that it will achieve because of its nature of programmability. The direct benefit transfers and the benefits which have to give it to a small businesses, the kind of pilferages otherwise which happens in these benefit transfers, those can be completely stopped simply for the simple reason of this money being programmable. Okay, if you ask, then the other benefit which will be there, then the cost of production and distribution of money will become almost negligible, right? It will increase the velocity of money significantly. Okay, right? Two things is, again, those reconciliation, settlement, and you can say settlement of money is also instant. So those are significant merits, if you ask me. Okay, so over a period of time, definitely, I am very, very bullish about creating a lot of good use cases during this program, which will be relevant not only into retail payment system only for inclusion, but it will be extremely relevant even for cross-border transactions for small businesses or even for P2P transactions. There I see there is a huge value, because you know the cross-border transactions typically for individuals or small businesses, which carries a cost which is as high as, you can say, 7% on the average of the value of money which is getting remitted from one part to other part. Okay, so if India is receiving, say, for example, $90 billion of inward remittance in a year, and if we are paying, say, for example, 7-8% of that as a fee, how much less money we are receiving every year, vis-a-vis if we have something like this, which will involve minimal cash or no cost actually.
Thank you so much.
So that's my view. Thanks.
I see. Well, thank you. Very interesting. And I will give actually the final words to Joachim, because we have the invitation where there's the program you want to invite. So give us the pitch. Why should we join this? Joachim, 30 seconds.
Well, we are embarking on something new and revolutionary. This is sort of very much the next generation. I think people would like to be involved because I think this is sort of setting the tone for, as you said, what's going to happen in the next sort of 5 to 10 years. I think the future is not that far distant, but I think we need to start to work in this direction. We're gonna change the world, and I think this is a great initiative in order to start that whole movement, or at least accelerate, you could say, augment that whole movement, because it's ongoing. But let's sort of, as Sanja was saying, I gave him a bashing for that. Why is it going so slowly? Why can't it go faster? Because that's we all want that, because there's a lot of people in need. Who do I get in contact with? Where do I go? I think you can go to sort of myself. You can, if you want to be part of this, you can go to Sanjay for sure. You can go to MSR. I think we all would know how to sort of deal with this, depending on what kind of sort of partner you are. And then later, the FinTechs that want to get involved, there will be invitations and clear sort of milestones in this whole program that we will roll out.
Great. So thank you, everyone. This has been a very inspiring morning. And we will, before I just say hello and thank you, just give it to you, Joachim. Tell us about the next 4 weeks. Yes,
we normally do that just to finalize that. We look 4 weeks ahead, and every Friday we run these webinars, and We're going to look at a little bit, every fourth one, we have a broader Crunchfish focus, just looking at the DNA of our company. That's the focus of next one. Every second one is on digital cash. And as Sanjay was saying, he was interested in that we had a strong patent portfolio. And I'll do a good job. I'll try to do a good job on describing that. What is it really? Because it's patent rights are difficult, I think, to understand. And I'll try to paint that picture in a way that is understandable. On May 13th, we're going to do a deep dive into neural networks. This is sort of how gesture interaction, which is Crunchfish's other side of the business, how that actually works. And then we will be back at Digital Cash again on May 20th. We haven't yet decided. We hope to get, just like today, an external presenter, and we have a few options, but we haven't sort of nailed it which one it will be, but most likely an external presenter again on Digital Cash on May 20th. That's sort of the program for the next 4 weeks. Great,
and we follow what's happening in the world, and I can tell you both MSR and Sanjay that a couple of weeks ago we were very much into the celebration of Holi. It was all about Holi,
Oh.
and oh yes. We're totally, we're getting into, and we most talked about it, but we really got interested. We have to celebrate, we have to join in. Next time it will be Holi, or well, in a couple of years at least. So thank you both of you. Sanjay, Thakur, very nice having you here. Thanks for ambitions and visions and well, energy.
But last but not least, can you please pronounce MSR's full name once?
I was getting to that, and well, can I start with you, Joachim? That's an easy one, and Sanjay too, right? And then, but I didn't get the M. M is standing for.
M for Mahankali.
Mahankali Srinivas Rao.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad. Very good. Congrats. Keep up.
Well, thank you. And I could also say Charles Darwin and Beagle. So, well, I got it all right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you everyone watching.
Yes.
It's nice to have these contacts on live talking in Sweden, India, and the world. But I hope you who watch this also feel the energy and get inspired, because that's the reason we are doing this. So if you have, as Sanjay was surfing around watching, and in early February thought that this is something for me, so get in contact with Joachim. Let's make the family bigger, and we take it from here. So thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
much. Have a nice weekend and a good breakfast, Joachim.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.